So one day, randomly, I decided to not use my phone for a full day. And a lot of you are probably wondering, what are you, some kind of psychopath? But, you know, it wasn't as hard as you're probably thinking. I I was laying in bed and I realized that we are addicted to these big rectangles that sit in our pockets all day. And our world really revolves around those little rectangles that reside in our pockets. The friends, family, social media, pretty much the news, everything goes through that little rectangle constantly. And I think for some people, it's how they, connect with the world. It's how most people connect with the world. Like their phone is the gateway to how they get most of their information. And I don't think that's a very healthy place to be. When I decided, I'm just going to go a full day without using my phone, I found myself doing a lot more. I went on a walk, which, I typically still like to do, but I went on a walk without my phone. I went with a walk with my dog um, on the same day. I played with my dog. I, did some stuff around the house. I, went and worked out. I did a bunch of stuff that, not that I would not normally do, but it felt so much more refreshing that I wasn't doing it with my phone, because I started noticing a lot more around me. I started noticing, little tiny things, and obviously I have ADHD, I have OCD, so I would probably notice these things on a normal basis, but I found myself um noticing these things more, paying attention to these things more. And I also found myself, talking to myself. Um and I don't mean in a crazy person way, but I mean in a way that was oh, like regretting something or talking about life choices, what I would and wouldn't have done differently in certain situations. And I also found myself um caring a lot more, which is not typical for me. um I have this attitude that I adapted, that I really don't care a lot about things, and it's not a very healthy attitude to have, obviously. Because I do care. I do care about people, and I care about, certain things and how things affect me and all that fun stuff. But I found myself, caring a lot more, and not caring and not carrying that not give a shit attitude with me as much. And I'm not gonna blame my phone for that, but it not having my phone, this infinite pool of stimuli, um, it was really refreshing. It was like, taking the handcuffs off for the first time in years. And whether we like it or not, we have become addicted. Like I said, I mean, we've become addicted to those rectangles in our pockets. It's really hard to just put them down for even a minute, let alone an entire day. You know, but I think it's very healthy. I think everyone, at least once, should just put their phone down. Experience the world that's in front of you and not the world that, comes through your phone. And obviously, people are going to argue that, like, oh, well, you're not going to be absorbing the news and, like, stuff that's going on. And, like, what if you miss, something important and all that fun stuff? And, like, the chances of you, like, uh, I like the chances of something actually going wrong are like slim to none. You know, the chances of something going wrong in your area and you need the news is like slim to none. You know, like obviously, yeah, the news is nice, but what does the news really do except feed you either one false information or really toxic information? But that's a subject for another day. Um, but it was so rectifying, to finally just go outside, to go and do stuff, not just outside, but just do stuff without my phone. No music, no social media interaction. Obviously, I had social interaction, and it just felt so nice. And obviously, I saw those people. I see these people, like, they look at you like you have three heads when you don't have your phone on you, or you're not looking at your phone. People look at you weird. And it's like, when did this become the norm? When did carrying around, I mean, obviously, people, when you walk around without a phone, people are going to look at you like you have three heads. But when did that become the norm? When was that like the status quo, that I have to have my phone out? you know and it's so nice too, because like, sometimes I go on walks with my sister, and it's just us two. We're not on our phones. Like, we go on like at least maybe like a half an hour walk, and it's just us talking for that entire half an hour that we're out. And it's so nice, because like, we don't usually get to talk anymore. Like, we, no, most of the time we just sit at home and do nothing. And it was so nice to finally, just like, when we do on these walks together, it's so nice to finally just you know put away the distractions and just you know be together and talk through stuff, talk about stuff that's going on with maybe some friends, talk about stuff that's going on with each other. It was really nice to have that. So I think everyone at some point, obviously it doesn't have to be like right now, but I think it's very gratifying to just step away and put the phone down. You know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, or the whole day, which was the most gratifying for me personally. And obviously you can work yourself up to like the whole day, but you just put your phone down for like a day, maybe two, and you'll find yourself, having a lot more fun, noticing a lot more things that you wouldn't normally notice, doing a lot more things that you wouldn't normally do, and like just experiencing the world in front of you. And that's like the really big thing, is that like our phones have really sucked us out of that, of that mindset of just experiencing the world that's in front of us. And, you know, I, when I did this, once again, I started noticing certain things, and like I experienced the world in front of me. And it was just so nice to do. It was such a nice experience that I hadn't had in such a long time. And to do that was just amazing. So I think everyone should, at least for a day, put your phone down, go out, hang out with some friends, do some stuff, go out on a walk, play with their dog, do something, and don't bring your phone. That's like the big thing, just hang out, just go and do stuff. You don't constantly need your phone, especially when you're with a group of friends. I think that's a really big thing. Like recently, me and my friend Dylan came to a really weird realization, and we we discovered that we have been friends for a long time, but we didn't really play games together. And we found that really weird, because we have played with other friends, but we had never played with each other. And we've been friends for a really long time, and it was really confusing to us. But then we realized that our friendship is stronger. Our friendship is to a point where we don't have to be behind, our friendship doesn't just revolve around gaming. Our friendship is more than that. We just aren't friends who games, or we're friends because we're friends. And I found that to be so interesting, and such a good feeling, that we're friends beyond gaming. Like me and Camden, we're friends beyond gaming. And me and Dylan, we're friends beyond gaming. And you know not and hanging out with those people without your phone is just such a cool experience. And obviously, the gaming thing really doesn't have anything to do with this conversation, but you know y- you're friends with those people beyond your social media experience, and all that fun stuff. So I think all people should try to just put down the phone for a day, and really experience the world. Go and do stuff. Go hang out with friends. And go experience the world. You'll like it, I promise. But yeah.